To order. This is the meeting of February 20th, 2018. And please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome, everyone. Sylvia, can we have a roll call, please?
Mayor Weislickle.
Here.
Council President Garland.
Here.
Councilor Typer.
Here.
Councilor Young. Here. Councilor Browse.
Here.
Councilor Griffin.
Here.
Councilor Rosner.
Here.
Thank you.
The next item is approval of the agenda. Can I have a motion?
I move we approve the agenda.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Agenda is approved. Next item is the consent agenda. Can we have a motion for that also, please?
I move approval of the consent agenda.
Second.
Approved and second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Consent agenda is approved. Next item is citizen comments. Sylvia, do you have forms for that? And the first request, is that Gene Stewart?
I don't know the name.
Oh,
Is it Anthony? Is that okay? Anthony.
Yeah. Maybe my eyes aren't too good. Would you state your name, please? Yep. Please state.
just speak into the microphone.
Yes,
There you go.
My name is Anthony Stewart, S-T-U-A-R-T.
thank you.
I just have a prepared statement to make it a little bit easier tonight because I knew there was time. So, good evening, Mayor, councilors, and city staff. My name is Anthony Stewart. I'm an attorney for Western Oregon Dispensary here in Sherwood, a locally owned medical cannabis business that serves local patients. I'm here this evening to introduce a minor request for a city code amendment as it pertains to the presence of medical cannabis here in Sherwood. As you are aware, Sherwood has enacted a ban on the establishment of recreational cannabis in the city's jurisdiction. That ban is reflected in Sherwood's municipal code at chapter 5.30. In short, the present ban on recreational cannabis prohibits the planning department from approving any cannabis business that, in quotes, is licensed by the Oregon Liquor Control Commission, but does not prohibit medical cannabis, which has traditionally been regulated by the Oregon Health Authority, or also known as the OHA. Since the original ban was enacted, however, the Oregon Liquor Control Commission, or OLCC, has also been given statutory authority to oversee medical cannabis businesses as well. By way of citation, you can find this at ORS 475B.146 and 475B.131. As the OLCC collects more and more, and eventually all of the responsibility for regulating Oregon cannabis, the language of the present ban in Sherwood is becoming more overbroad. As time passes, it has become evident that the commingling of the two authorities under OLCC regulation is another move toward the inevitable fusion of the two Oregon cannabis schemes under exclusive OLCC control. There's a few reasons for this transition. The number of medical-only cannabis businesses has dramatically decreased following the establishment of recreational marijuana under the OLCC. OHA continues to be underfunded and has decreased regulatory control over Oregon cannabis, whereas OLCC has more and more regulatory control and has invested millions of dollars in developing tracking and testing technology. The OLCC has been the most aggressive and successful regulator of cannabis in the country, resulting in state-of-the-art tracking, testing, and security measures to ensure the safety of consumers, businesses, and communities. And the change in the federal regime has prompted the OLCC to establish a new license category, the one which we're talking about here today, in which a retailer is regulated by the OLCC but limited to strictly medical products sold strictly to medical cannabis patients and caregivers, exactly like the OHA regime, but under the OLCC licensure process. My request today is a simple one that requests the Sherwood community's decision to prohibit the establishment of recreational cannabis, as well as the community's policy of allowing for local access to medical cannabis products through Sherwood's medical cannabis dispensary. In lieu of an overbroad prohibition on cannabis businesses licensed by the OLCC, we respectfully request an amendment to Chapter 5.30, which would clarify that businesses licensed by OLCC to exclusively sell medical cannabis products not be prohibited. By adjusting the language of the Sherwood Municipal Code at Chapter 5.30 to accommodate the fact of OLCC's regulation of recreational and medical cannabis schemes, Sherwood's Muni Code, or Municipal Code, will recognize the nuanced regulatory environment that now exists pertaining to medical cannabis. That's kind of the 10,000-foot view. Miss Sherry Ralston, who is the president and owner of the locally owned Western Oregon, has come here tonight, and she's next for public comments. And if there's any questions, I'm happy to answer, but today was more of an introduction. Good to go?
Thank you.
Thank you, Kylie.
Appreciate your coming. The next comments are from Sherry Ralston.
Hello, I'm Sherry Ralston, and I own Western Oregon Dispensary here in Sherwood and also Western Oregon Dispensary in Newburgh. We have some new council members, so I wanted to introduce myself and also just clarify what we're requesting. We currently serve over 1,000 medical marijuana patients, and over 50% of those come to us from other counties. We are the only medical marijuana store in the entire Portland metropolitan area today. And our business is growing because of that. Because of changes that are occurring with OHA, we want to operate under OLCC. They operate more strictly. It allows us to report through their statewide metric system, which gives us a significant advantage in tracking sales and where that product goes. OHA is possibly disbanding later in the year because there isn't enough dispensaries. There's less than 10 in the state right now. I think there's only 4 operating. There's about 9 existing licenses. So there isn't enough business there for them to have a division to oversee medical dispensaries anymore. And we are concerned about not having any oversight. So the process for OLCC means that a land use compatibility statement has to be signed by the city. And because of the wording that is currently in place with the city of Sherwood, we can't get that signed. And we need that to be able to put our application in for OLCC to oversee us. And so that is what we're requesting today. It's just a simple change of wording. We stay medical. We operate medical. Nothing changes. And so I just wanted to clarify that with everyone and ask if there's any questions.
Thank you for coming.
Question there?
Please.
Or staff. Is this something staff can look into and bring back some more information for us?
Yes, Counselor, we can certainly work with the folks that have provided the testimony tonight. We've worked with them in the past and make sure we understand their request and then, talk about what that process would look like, work with the city attorney's office, work with Julia and her staff to determine what specifically they're looking for, and then potentially bring that amendment to you. I think it probably would go to Planning Commission first. I'm guessing on that, but that's probably the route we would take. So.
Next is our new business. We have one resolution in this category, Resolution 2018-016, authorizing staff to apply for a local government grant from the Oregon Parks and Recreation Department for the construction of a skate park.
Hello.
Please.
Yes, so as you just stated, this resolution authorizes staff to apply for an OPRD grant and also certifies that we have the matching funds should we receive the grant. The grant can pay for up to 60% of the cost of the project. And right now we are estimating that the construction cost would be $543,356. So the amount that we are certifying that we would match is $217,342. Any questions?
And I do have a question.
Yes.
That $217,000, 243, we have those.
There's sufficient
SDs
funds in park
sufficient funds.
SDCs,
Okay.
which is where I am assuming that we would decide to take that from, but that would be up to council and discussion for us to think through that. But there is sufficient funds in SDCs.
And following up on that question, what else might those SDCs be used for?
Parks and Recreation Board has a priority list, and that's one that we actually still need to update for 2018. The biggest project that we have been working on was completing phase 2 of Woodhaven Park. And since that has been completed, the skate park was one, possibly looking at a second dog park location is another project that we talked about. And then of course, some of the funds going towards the Cedar Creek Trail, but there's nothing else that I can think of specifically that we'd be putting aside or anything like that.
And just for the benefit of those listening and watching from home, this particular fund, we can't use those dollars for anything outside of this fund, correct?
Correct. SDCs need to be used because of growth and development within the city. And so we could not use these funds, like for example, to operate the senior center. These can just be used for park-related projects due to growth. And not maintenance.
Great. That's a question I get a lot. It's like,
yes.
we're doing this new thing over here. Why can't we hire another police officer? So I just wanted to
Correct.
make sure people understood that.
Any other questions or comments?
I do have another
Please.
question. And so, we're have this great partnership going with the YMCA now. And Joe, can you comment on, I assume you've talked to the YMCA about this and how that's going?
Yeah, and this was not in the agenda packet because we received a letter today. So I think just for full transparency and with the history recently with our relationship with the Y, I'm going to read this into the record. And the counselors have gotten it, but I think it's important because people need to know what our partnership with the Y thinks about this. So I received this from, and this letter is signed by Bob Hall, the president and CEO, and Mark Burris, I believe it's executive vice president, and COO, the chief operating officer. And this is dated this morning. Dear Joe, with youth development, healthy living, and social responsibility being of the pillars of the YMCA movement, we're excited about the possibility of a skate park coming to Sherwood and on the property surrounding the YMCA building. Research shows skate parks make positive contributions to communities, and we at the YMCA of Columbia-Willamette believe it will happen here. While we are supportive of the city's request for a grant and skate park, we note there are several concerns to be monitored closely, and they have an Exhibit A attached outlining some of their concerns. We've talked over these issues with you and a city council representative, and we believe they can be worked out to ensure Sherwood Y members' revenues, facility expansion, and safety will not be adversely affected by the proposed skate park. Our positive working relationships with the Sherwood City Council and city leadership give us confidence these issues will be addressed. It's a new day, and please know how grateful we are to be working with you. Warm regards, Bob Hall and Mark Burris. So our relationship is with the YMCA of the Columbia-Willamette. That's who we have an agreement with, and these are the two leaders of that organization, and they put their feelings in writing today.
Okay. Please.
Sure. So I'm very excited to see this project move forward. I was on the Parks and Recreation Board way back in 2003, 2006 when this idea of a skate park first came about. And for those of you who are interested, in the Parks Master Plan, dated, I believe it was 2006. If you look on pages 11 and 12, there's a scatter plot based on a survey that was done, a statistically valid survey showing where there was a high interest, high need, low interest, low need, high interest, low need, and low interest, high need. And a lot of different things sort of fell out in the different quadrants. If you look at that, it's a great visual. But one of the last things on this list, besides a pool that everyone knows we also need, was a skate park and Cedar Creek Trail, just as Kristen Schweitzer mentioned. So I think this is something that, as our population is aging, yes, it is, but with 30% of our population still under the ages of 18, I still think there would be pretty good use of our parks funds for something like this. So thank you.
Any other comments? Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just go ahead and echo a little bit of what was said here today. I mean, I'm certainly in favor of the skate park. I think the YMCA location as proposed and has been discussed for several years now is a good place to put that park. So I'm excited to see that the YMCA is on board with us here as well. Going back to the point that Joe had kind of mentioned, new partnership with the YMCA. I think we're definitely all moving in the right direction together. I'm excited. We received quite a few emails recently in favor of the skate park as well. So I'm very, very excited to be moving forward with this idea. Thanks.
Please.
Yeah, I'll just want to echo what Councilor Kuiper and Councilor Garland said. I'm excited about this project. As most of you know, I put a little poll out there and was pleasantly surprised to see that there was overwhelming support in the community for a skate park. And especially over 70% of the folks that took the poll, and it was a pretty good number, felt that it would be a net positive influence on the community, which I thought was great. So I'm excited about moving this thing forward. I met with Mark Burris from the YMCA on Friday, had a very good meeting. And it was good in two ways. One, we kind of talked about this whole issue and some of the concerns that they had, but we also talked about the future and other things the YMCA could be doing to help us out in the community and doing different things for us to really raise the bar. So overall, I'm pretty happy and I'm supportive as well.
Please.
We're probably all going to echo. I am in favor of the skate park as well. I probably was the one maybe most hesitant. I wanted to really know if our community was still interested in this after 8 or 9 years of the data that we had. So I really appreciate Councilor Rosner putting that poll out, as I think we got a pretty good response from that, given about the same response a number of people as we received emails from on the YMCA situation. And so I think it was a good number in our community. I think the concerns that I've heard from some YMCA members or board of managers, I don't think any of those are insurmountable, that we can't work together to strengthen that partnership and make sure it works. I just think that it will be a great asset for our community, for our youth, for our adults, because there are adults that skateboard as well. It's an easy location to get to because I don't think people need buses to get there. I think people are going to be riding their skateboards to get there, or they're going to be dropped off or whatnot. And it's in Woodhaven's a big community just right over there that's going to attract a lot of people as well. So I'm in favor of this. We did budget in this current year's budget to get it through land use, and so we've already spent that money for that location. So if we were to start all over, we'd have to spend all that money over again as well. So I am in favor.
So I too am in favor. For a number of years, I sat on the other side of the fence, watching the process happen from the YMCA standpoint, being a part of those meetings with all the kids in the teen center, seeing them go out and mobilize all the different signatures that were needed for the original petition. So sitting on this side of the fence and being a part of the decision-making process to hopefully make it happen, it feels really, really good. So great job, guys.
I'm the only one who hasn't weighed in, so I'll go ahead.
It's your turn.
I'm not a skater by any stretch of the imagination. But I thought it was a great idea. However, I attended that Board of Managers meeting with Councilor Young at the YMCA, and there were some concerns expressed. And so we brought that information back, and we individually talked with the city manager and staff, and not once did I feel like the staff was, pushing this through at all costs, no matter what. We're going to waste all this money. I didn't feel like that. I felt like they said, if this is the right thing to do right now, let's continue to do this. It was a council-directed action last year part of those members are still here, but this is a new council. And I am not hesitant at all. If I felt like it wasn't the right thing to do, I would not have said yes. So I feel like I appreciate staff being patient with us because we want to do the right thing. We want to make sure it's what the citizens want to do. We want to make sure, because the YMCA has been managing the facility for 20 years. So they're an educated partner at that end of town. So we can't just set aside what they say because in essence, they're kind of an expert on that end of town. So we have to, if they have a concern, we need to listen to it. So we did. And I appreciate Joe Gall sitting down with upper management and kind of working out those details and opening up that communication. And that was a big part of the new contract. Is one of the keystones of that contract is bettering our partnership through better communication with them. And so I agree with Councilor Young. I don't think there's anything we can't work out, and it's not going to be perfect. We're going to hit little bumps and whatever. We're going to work all those things out so the kids will have a great time at the skate park, which is way bigger than Tualatin's skate park. I hope they're watching. So I also support it. So thank you.
Thank you all. I certainly can't disagree with any of that. Sylvia, do we have anybody that has requested?
No, you're not, Mayor.
Okay. I'm sorry?
Can we ask if there is anybody? Maybe they didn't know they could fill one out.
I think we can. Is there anyone that would like to share for the normal 4-minute time when comments are made?
So can I make a motion?
You betcha. You're most welcome.
I move resolution 2018-016, authorizing staff to apply for a local government grant from the Oregon Parks and Recreation Department for the construction of a skate park.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. All those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Motion is carried.
Can I just answer that question
Done
real
it.
quick?
Do you want to answer that, or would you like us to?
Let's see if I got my information right, because we got to apply for the grant. We'll hear from that around September, which means we couldn't really start until spring of next year.
Spring of next year would be
Spring of next year.
Spring and summer.
So within a year.
And then
You
if we
have any
are-
comments?
If we're unsuccessful at receiving the grant, which we hope we wouldn't be, it doesn't mean the park wouldn't be built. It would just be a different decision whether you want to use additional parks SDCs to fund this project. So.
And I would say we have a fairly good chance. I mean, the State Parks Department generally funds these types of projects. At least they did several years ago. I'm not sure what the flavor is
last year
these
they
days.
actually funded a skate park as well. Their focus is definitely on outdoor recreation and fitness. And that's obviously what we're going to be working towards, is getting kids outside and physical education and all of that. So it just depends how many grants they receive and how much money is available. It's all lottery fund dollars, so the pot is actually fairly decent, but it just depends how many requests they receive.
And the last time we were unsuccessful was because we hadn't gone through the land use process. It was a more conceptual idea.
Yeah, that was definitely part of it. We're much further along in the process. They want to see projects that are shovel ready.
And matching funds.
Yes, in the matching funds.
Okay.
They want to know that you're ready to go and that you don't have any hiccups in land use or any anything that's going to hold you back from moving forward.
I do have an additional question. And if, for some reason, keep fingers crossed it's not going to be an issue, we get the grant. But if we didn't get the grant and we had to go in phases, is the concept still designed so that it could be in phase 1 and phase 2?
Yes, there's actually 4 potential phases. So in going for the grant, we're going for the entire thing. We figure if we're going to go after the grant, let's get the entire park built at once. But that would be something that we could look at. Should we not be successful, we could go back and decide maybe we just do phase 1 or phase 2 and cut the construction cost nearly in half. But we'd have to take a look at that.
And before we leave this subject, we want to wish all the skaters well.
Be safe.
Go for it. Our next item is number 8, and it's public hearings. Ordinance 2018-001, ratifying the creation of the Willamette Intake Facilities Commission, and this is the second reading. Sylvia?
Mayor and Council, this is the statement for the public. The Sherwood City Council will hold a public hearing tonight to hear testimony on ordinance 2018-001, ratifying the creation of the Willamette Intake Facilities Commission. This is the second hearing on this item. The purpose of this hearing is to provide the public with an opportunity to submit testimony. The order of business the council will follow in conducting this hearing is to hear a staff report, receive any correspondence, receive public testimony, and additional staff comments. Questions from the council will follow. The hearing will then be closed and no further testimony will be received. Discussion by the council will follow. Any interested person may present testimony. If you wish to speak, please fill out a testimony form and submit it to the city recorder. The mayor will recognize those persons wishing to speak, and any questions should be addressed through the mayor. When you come to the microphone, please state your name and address for the record, as this hearing will be recorded, and limit your testimony to 4 minutes.
Thank you. Do we have a further staff report?
Yes.
Please.
So this item should seem familiar. As you'll recall, water supply. The reason that this item is coming back to you for a second hearing is because it's an ordinance. The other two are resolutions. And the reason that we have to have an ordinance is because the intergovernmental agreement that was negotiated to govern this expanded intake facility creates a new intergovernmental entity, the Willamette Intake Facility Commission, or WIF Commission. And state law requires that when you create a new intergovernmental entity like that, the agencies that are doing that adopt an ordinance ratifying the creation of that entity. So staff's recommendation is to hold a public hearing on this ordinance and then to approve the ordinance. I'm happy to take any questions.
Council questions, comments? We open the hearings. Do you have a...
Mayor, I do not have any submission sheets.
Okay. With no request, the hearing is closed. Any further discussion, comments by the council? Sylvia, would you call for the vote?
Mayor, at this time there would be call for a motion.
Yes. Motion.
I move. Oops.
Go ahead. Oh, well, okay. Yes. Go. I move that City Council approve Ordinance 2018-001, ratifying the creation of the Willamette Intake Facilities Commission in place. Oh, no. That's it. We read, caption, and adopt.
It's been moved and seconded. Sylvia?
Ordinance 2018-001, ratifying the creation of the Willamette Intake Facilities Commission. Councilor Rosner?
Aye.
Councilor Griffin?
Aye.
Councilor Grouse?
Aye.
Councilor Young?
Aye.
Councilor Kuiper?
Aye.
Council President Garland?
Aye.
Mayor Weislevel?
Aye.
Thank you. Adopted.
It is adopted. Let's move on. City manager report, please.
Mayor and Council, I have two just reminders for everyone. March 13th is another election here in Sherwood, just as a reminder. So I believe ballots will be mailed out this week on the 21st when I check the county calendar. There are 3 seats on the council that will be on the ballot, the mayor's seat, and then 2 council seats. So I just want to remind folks to be looking for ballots in the mail arriving later this week. And then on a related note, just a reminder, in this room next Monday night, the Chamber of Commerce is sponsoring a voters forum event, and it's, I believe, at 6 o'clock, and candidates for those respective positions have been invited. You're encouraged to come to the session in person. We're still trying, hopefully, to get the green light to broadcast it live. And if we cannot, due to Oregon's law in terms of using public resources for political events, I'm sure people will probably do it through Facebook, and you'll probably have Facebook broadcasts through themselves. But we're hoping to hear from the Secretary of State in the next day or two, and I'm hoping we can broadcast it. So that's next Monday night, just as a reminder.
Okay. Council announcements or comments. Why don't you start?
Want to start this end this time?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I was going to talk about the candidate forum on Monday night, but Joe talked about that. So my next item would be the Parks and Rec Board. Next meeting is March 5th at 7 p.m. in this room. Kristen and the gang always throw a good time, so it's fun. It's very energetic. Sometimes a little more exciting than Planning Commission. Don't tell them I said that, but it's very fun. But if you want to get involved in all the things that they're doing, you guys have a list of projects that they're always working on. It's fascinating. I encourage you to come, get involved. The next thing is the Robin Hood Festival Association, of which I'm the appointed liaison this year. They're looking for volunteers, so it's never too early to get involved in that process. So it's a great time. They need volunteers for all of the events. We have the main event July 20th and 21st. This year, the parade is at 10 a.m. on Saturday the 21st. It's always a great time. There were thousands of people at the parade and like 100 entries. Whether you're a person playing a bagpipe in a tutu, it's fine. You can be in the parade. It's such a civic moment. It's such a great time. And then, of course, they're also looking for nominations for people to be knighted. So a few years ago, I was knighted. I think, Jennifer, you've been knighted. Someone else on the Lee? You're like a king, Lee. So, and I think Renee has been. So it took me completely by surprise. I didn't really know. I mean, I knew about the people being knighted. I said, I got this invitation in the mail. I showed up. I didn't really know what to expect. I was just almost moved to tears. It was such a cool thing. So this is for if you know somebody who's a community member who is really just always doing their part in the community. This is a great chance to get them recognized. You can go to robinhoodfestival.org and you can contact them, find out if the person has already been knighted, and if not, there's a good candidate. I encourage everybody to get involved into Sherwood's festival this summer. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, since our last meeting, I attended our Community Development Block Grant meeting, and our city received a little bit of good news last week. So we had submitted for a grant for our senior center, and off the top of my head, I want to say it's $108,000. Is that okay? $108,000, where we're going to do some upgrades and improvements to our senior center with some flooring and lots of upgrades in the kitchen that are just very badly needed. So it's going to do some improvements there. Also attended the Police Advisory Board. We have 4 open positions for that board. So if you're interested in applying for that, you can go to the city website, get your applications in. We'll be holding interviews soon for those positions. Just some kind of funny, some conversations that take place at those. Our board is just really engaged in asking our police chief a lot of good questions. Well, my first meeting, though, they told me that the new people were supposed to bring ice cream. And I was the new person. So last meeting I showed up with Handel's ice cream for our police advisory board. I guess it was a joke. I didn't really need to bring ice cream. But one of the board members asked our chief what our protocols are if there are shootings at our schools. And so I think there's going to be a presentation at the March meeting on that, given our police advisory board update on what our police have set as protocols. One of the board members collected some feedback from her community members on the speed enforcement cameras, and everybody she talked to were in favor of those. And then we had one board member who said he's really been enjoying watching council meetings and that they have a great tenor and work atmosphere, so he thinks we're doing a great job up here. And then Chief announced that our 3 sergeants are all interested in the captain's position, so I think they're going through interview processes now. And once that is filled, then we'll need to interview current staff or fill the sergeant position. And then we also have a current vacancy where we're filling a new police officer position. So sort of moving everybody up the ladders there. And that's it for me.
Go ahead.
All right. Since the last meeting, I attended the Regional Water Providers Consortium Board. I always have to read that. That was at the Portland Metro on February 7th. We went through some of our budgeting and our kind of goals and plans for the year, so that was a really good meeting. On February 8th, I was honored to be invited as a celebrity speller by the Sherwood Education Foundation for their Sip and Spell competition fundraiser. Really glad to report that they raised over $50,000 for Sherwood schools at that event. They had raffles with some amazing donation items, Disney vacations, more wine than I would think anybody in this town could drink, but this is Sherwood. So really, really fun event. So check out the Sherwood Education Foundation Facebook page and their website if you're interested in kind of following what they're going to do with that money, because that's a really great event that they were able to pull in that money. I did finish in third place. Arrhythmia, Hythmia. I did it again. I got it wrong. And I lost the first place and second. First place was the returning champion from last year, and second place was also a teacher. So in the non-teacher category, I did all right. A lot of fun though. So. Thanks, Joe. Last Tuesday, I attended the Planning Commission meeting, and so quite a bit of what they discussed last week is going to be coming to council in the next couple of meetings. And a big shout out to our Planning Commission. It was a 4-hour meeting. They had some great questions. Our city staff was all in attendance. Julia, Joy, Carrie, Erica. Josh attended that meeting as well. We were all there till 11 p.m. And so if you haven't attended a Planning Commission meeting or watched them on YouTube, I really do suggest you do that. They do so much good work for the city and are taking care of so much of the details that we don't maybe necessarily always see, and certainly the citizens don't get to see what they do, but they're really keeping an eye out on what the future of Sherwood is going to look like. So they meet on the Tuesdays that we don't meet, and they're also in this room at 7 p.m. So great work by the Planning Commission last week. And just one other note, upcoming event this Saturday is the Sherwood Foundation for the Arts. Yeah, that's right. 5th annual puzzle competition. Normally I would be begging people to sign up last minute, but they actually sold out all of the 3 events like a week or so ago. So full house. It starts at 10 a.m. and way to go, SFA. It's another great event. We get a lot of city businesses donate prizes for the winners and for raffles, and that money is raised for the Sherwood Foundation for the Arts, who does a lot of great work. Summer plays, of course, and everything. And if I'm not mistaken, you probably know this better than I do. Auditions have either opened or are starting to open for their summer play, Hello Dolly. So get excited for that.
Isn't there a team for that puzzle competition coming from Hawaii?
There is a team, yes, from Hawaii this year. Last year there was a team from somewhere a little out of state, and this year, somebody from Hawaii signed up right away. And actually, it's going to have to get bigger next year because they've got like a wait list of like 11 teams this year. So it's going to have to get bigger next year. So that's all I've got.
Thank you. You're up.
Okay, I'll be short then. Yes, I was going to say congratulations to Council President Garland for getting 3rd place. That was really great at the Sip and Spell. Really quickly, though, we have another gala coming up. Speaking of fundraisers, on April 7th, the Sherwood Center for the Arts is having its annual gala, and it is a 1940s Hollywood glam murder mystery. And we're actually bringing some folks in from Portland. I cannot remember the name of this acting troupe that's going to perform, and it's actually completely interactive. So it's going to be a lot of fun. So come on out at 6 p.m. It starts on April 7th. Again, it's a night of murder and mystery at the Sherwood Center for the Arts. Speaking of very interesting mysteries, North by Northwest, the classic film, will be shown on March 1st at the Center for the Arts at 7 p.m. It's only $3. And if you want to celebrate St. Patrick's Day, the Murray Irish Dancers are coming. And they'll be here on March 17th, I guess. That makes sense, right? Yeah. And I am the Cultural Arts Commission liaison, and I'm really excited about the fact that the Cultural Arts Commission has an RFP, a request for proposals, out on the street right now to help develop the master plan for public arts. So I'm pretty excited about that. Okay.
All right. Let's start with the library. We actually meet tomorrow, our advisory committee, tomorrow night, but our wonderful library manager, Adrienne, sent me some notes to share with all of you. And it's pretty interesting. She sent me a fact that there are 700 visits a day at the library.
Well,
700 people. I thought that was pretty, that seems like a lot. Of all ages, and the busiest time is 3:30 to 5. So if you are interested in the library and you don't want to hit the busy peak, go either before 3:30 or after 5. She also let me know that last year the library completed the phase 1 of the signage project, which was paid for by the funds from Washington County Cooperative Library Services. And now we're on to phase 2, which is a design phase that will help make it even easier to locate materials in the library. I'm not quite sure what that encompasses, but it seems pretty exciting. Coming up soon, they'll be purchasing some new furniture in the library, and she's looking for ideas and suggestions of what you'd like to see there. And that you can send those suggestions to her via email. And also, there is, on March 3rd, there's a repair fair from 11 to 2 for volunteer fixers to help repair small appliances, jewelry, bikes, and clothing. So some interesting things coming up in the library. A couple of other items. I attend the Housing Supportive Services Network meetings. There's several of them across the board, but what's pretty interesting is that the city of Sherwood is now doing a housing analysis, and I'm really excited to see what that housing analysis says in comparative to what we're talking about in the Hisson group, because there's a lot of continuity there. Next up is, there's a new business in town. If you haven't explored it, it's called, what's it called? Pilates, Club Pilates. And it is amazing. If you want to get better at stretching or balance, it's a new studio that's over by Jimmy John's, and I'm now a proud member of Club Pilates. We'll see what happens with that. Looking forward to seeing the results. Mayor Wise logo was there on Saturday. And my last announcement is on March 2nd, there is an event at Good Neighbors, well, actually at the Broadway Rose in favor of Good Neighbors Center, but I watched the kids participate in a rehearsal yesterday. The talent is from Sherwood, and they are going to be absolutely phenomenal. So Jamie Burgess and Sophia and Jesse Komolki, Josie Sylvester, so really great, Rachel Doyle. So some really great Sherwood talent will be sharing and trying to help us raise funds for Good Neighbor Center.
Great. My liaison assignments, I was at the last school board meeting. A couple things I wanted to mention from that meeting, which are really cool. Some of you may have already heard about this, but Sherwood High School was ranked in the top 10 high schools in the state for graduation rate, which is a really awesome achievement that they've been able to pull off. They talked about that in the last meeting. They also talked about what the students have to do to graduate, the credits they have to earn, and some of the different programs that they have there. And I didn't know this. It's really fascinating. And I got a daughter going into high school next year, so I'm glad I know now. But they offer a ton of advanced placement classes and college credits. We actually had 2 students earn their associate's degrees with credits in our high school, which is amazing. So they're doing some really, really cool things over there. I also attended the Westside Economic Alliance breakfast meeting. I think that was last week. And that was a good meeting as well. The president of Portland State University, he's new to the job. He's been there 6 months, spoke. Learned a lot of interesting things about what's going on there. You may not know this, but they're one of 4 universities that have a direct connection to the space station. They actually have a little command center, and they operate experiments with the crew on the space station, which I thought it was really cool that we have that here in our state. One of the things, and kind of relates back to our high school, and I actually talking to Heather Cordy tomorrow because I want to make sure they're aware of this, but the Portland State's reaching out to high schools around the area so they can actually put PSU classes in the high schools for the high school students, which I think is an amazing outreach program that they're doing and helping our students out. So that was pretty cool to hear about that. Also went to the Main Street meeting. Don't have a lot to report on that one, although they are going to, watch, if you're out in the shops and the coffee shops and stuff, you see those little Main Street maps that they have out there. They have a new map coming out promoting our different businesses in the downtown region here. So a lot of cool stuff going on there as well. So that's all I have.
I've got a couple things. Did go to the board meeting of the Willamette River Water Coalition, and this is the group of Sherwood, Tuolumne Valley Water District, Tigard, and Tualatin that works together to use our connections and the things that Tuolumne Valley Water District and the City of Hillsborough are planning, and we'll try to keep you informed as to what all that means. But that's basically getting Willamette River water to distant places all the way to Hillsborough. The second thing I wanted to mention, it kind of piggybacks on what was being talked about with the library. Eva Calcagno, I'm not sure I'm saying that right. Calcagno has been the director of the Washington County Library System. I'll just start out with a couple of decades, but it's been a long time, and the connection with our library and other libraries in that system has been really an amazing and supportive thing. She is retiring, and that's happening on the 27th of this month, and there's an event from 3 to 6 in the afternoon in Hillsborough to celebrate that, and I'm sure there'll be people there, and that's one of those that I'll plan to go to as well. And the last thing I have to share is that we've been having a sound struggle to get everybody's microphone working. And my understanding now is we're getting new microphones, and we're looking forward to batting 1,000 in the sound area. And we'll have to work on our own throats and things like that, but the microphones won't be a problem in the future.
We have one more.
Please.
We have another important announcement, and that is March 5th will be the State of the City address by our mayor, and that will be at lunchtime, right, at noon. Come join us. It'll be at the Sherwood Center for the Arts, and tickets are on sale, $12, right? So it'll be really great. Do you have anything to add? It is through the Chamber of Commerce, yes. $12.
It's at the Center for the Arts.
It's at the Center for the Arts. Okay, so you can buy them at the door as well. So come on out. A lot of Washington County reps come out, a lot of other cities. Tigard comes out, Beaverton. It's a good time.
Thank you.
We look forward to hearing from you.
Any other items? We're adjourned. Thank you all for coming. Wish you a good week. Thank you.